You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mike Swanson from WallStreetWindow.com. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Oh, thanks for having me.
The U.S. stock markets, can they continue to stay in this very high range of trading?
Well, I think it's likely to for the next couple months. It's kind of funny, though. We saw the Dow and the S&P 500 go to an all-time high just a couple of days ago, but nothing's really happened since then. And in the past couple of years, we would see the market pause and then have a breakout like that of a recent high and go up quite a bit. But this time, it really hasn't. There's not much volume, and we're approaching the summertime, in which the markets tend to really just kind of die out. People go on vacation, and volatility really disappears. And I think that's really basically happening earlier than it usually does. So I don't really look at the market to do really much of anything, but just kind of float around now for the next couple months. Now, I am concerned, though, that before the year's over, we could see it all roll over and go into a real bear market. I mean, it's just a part of market cycles. Nothing goes up forever. The stock market is at a high valuation level, and there are some signs, I think, that we're really late in the bull market, and for instance, the number of stocks participating in the rallies and sectors is diminishing, and that's typically the type of thing you see happen before a bear market. However, that's not happened at such a bad enough rate that it's really that alarming. So it's just something I'm watching for now. But, yeah, I think the stock market is really just as a whole going to make people kind of fall asleep here.
Of course, that's what they want you to do, and then when it plunges, you're asleep.
Yeah, well, it's what's happened, for instance, with airline stock today. They're down across the board about 6%.
Any reason for that, or just that they were highly valued to start with?
Well, they were highly valued to start with, and they topped out like 6 weeks ago, and they haven't participated with the market going up lately either. However, today, one of the airlines said they're going to cut their fees, engage in a price war, and so that's, hurting all of them. So that's the catalyst of the news story for today, but I think they're in a vulnerable position anyway.
Well, I know I asked some airlines if they were going to cut their ticket prices because of lower oil prices, and they said, no, we're not. We're just going to enjoy extra profits.
Well, I think they are now. So you could take advantage of it now, I think.
What about Russia? People continue to say Russia might be the new place to invest.
Yeah, I think the Russian stock market looks pretty good. It had been in a bear market for several years, and actually reached an incredibly cheap valuation level. If you look at the cyclically adjusted PE for Russia, it got below 5. And the United States got below 4 during the Great Depression, to give you an idea of how cheap it got. And in December, it had a final drop and bottomed, and it's up almost 30% since then. So I do think it's a good market to invest in for the next couple of years.
Is it a case of they're adjusting to the sanctions, and so if we're not going to supply things from the West, they're going to find new sources to make sure their economy doesn't stumble?
Yeah, I think they're definitely doing that, and in fact, it's pretty well known they're doing that with China and other nations in the region. They're trading with them and pretty much ignoring these sanctions. I wouldn't be surprised if India isn't a country doing that, because they always had kind of a close relationship with Russia too during the Cold War and afterwards.
I was going to say anybody who flies MiG fighters today probably still friends with Russia today.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to service their planes and parts. Was
it a big mistake by the U.S. and Europe to put sanctions against Russia because of Ukraine?
I think so, but that's not what you'll hear on American television. I think, for me, I still feel like Russia is an enemy of myself. I'm not endangered by Russia. I think our enemies are really the terrorists and these people in the Middle East, and those are also enemies of Russia. I'd rather see us cooperate to stop these crazy people from hurting other people. And, the whole story in the Ukraine is very complicated. I mean, it's much more complicated than, than what's on the television. Half the people in Ukraine are Russian, and what's happened there is there was an overthrow of a government, and we're backing the people that did the overthrow. We're not saying that on TV that they're overthrew the government. They act like they're some sort of democracy or something, but they really aren't. And it's lots of business deals going on to try to just take advantage of the situation, and there's interests that live off world tensions in the United States and use any opportunity to create them, it seems.
We'll have more with Mike Swanson right after this.
More and more people are looking to the Internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on The Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Swanson from WallStreetWindow.com. Mike, a lot of discussion on your website about the Greek economic crisis. Are they still in danger of defaulting, and could that put the whole European Union in danger?
Yes, they do seem to be in danger of defaulting, and I think whatever happens, it's going to play out over the next 2 months. However, if they do default, I don't really think it'll be that big of a deal, because I think the Europeans have had several years to prepare for it, and that's one reason they're doing their own round of quantitative easing. So if there's any turmoil, they'll be able to react to it. And I also think it does sound like if they do default, that they're going to try to create some way to keep them inside the euro system. Maybe just allow Greece to use both the euro and some sort of Greek currency to print away its debts. But regardless, I do think they want to keep them in the euro some way or another, or inside the European Union.
Mike, what's your view on crude oil right now?
I'm still, we saw oil top out last year, fall over 50%. And people were trying to call a bottom in it, buy the oil stocks. I think they're early to the game to do that. The reason why is last summer, before oil even started to fall, there was a record short position built up inside the oil futures market. A record. Never before in history had there been so many people short. Now, these aren't people like me and you. These were shorts among commercial operators, Saudi Arabia, let's say. And they were ready, and oil collapsed, and they had hedged themselves. Now, looking at the information now, they've only reduced about half of those short positions, and typically you don't see a major bottom in commodities until the commercial people go to really net short zero when it comes to oil, and they're only like halfway there. Now, that doesn't mean oil has to go to $30 or $20 or something, but I do think that means there's going to be continued pressure on oil prices, and we won't see a real bull market there for probably another year or two. So we may retest the lows. We could go through them a little bit, but I just think overall oil is most likely just to keep going sideways. Now, the oil stocks, I think, could fall more at some point if the U.S. stock market goes into a bull market, because they're also at very high valuations. And if you look at how they've traded over the past couple of years, they haven't really traded with the price of oil when they were going up. They were trading with the U.S. stock market. So I think that's what I just kind of would avoid them. And I mean, I know they've gone up since they've last, made a low in the fall. But at this point, I would be more apt to take profits there.
There's been some evidence the CIA has been manipulating markets, currencies, and so on. Is that to be expected from something like the CIA?
Oh, I don't know if they're doing that. If they are, they're keeping it secret. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, you hear people talk a lot about manipulation in all markets, and there are people, what is manipulation? I think people released an example of manipulation is the other week. We heard a big news story that Yelp was looking for a buyout. They wanted someone to possibly buy them and take them over. And the stock went up quite a bit that day. It was news that evening. And what people weren't looking at was the valuation of the stock, of the company. It had an outrageous PE. So the idea that someone was going to buy it or be taken over is pretty much a myth. But people bought into it, and now it's come out that the COO of the company was selling off tens of millions of dollars of his own holdings of stock on that news. Well, to me, that's a huge manipulation, and it made the stock go up for a short period of time. And that's what all manipulations do. They just make the stock go up, or the market, or whatever, for a short period of time. But in the long run, no one can manipulate a market forever. And there's no more manipulate a market now than the bond market, because all over the world, because we have the European Union buying European bonds. We have we've seen the Federal Reserve buy bonds for the past couple of years. And I don't think, and this is a public buying manipulation we all know about, but I don't think they're going to be able to manipulate bond prices for any time. So manipulation isn't something I really try to factor in when I'm making investment decisions, because I don't think any manipulation is going to last forever. And in the end, it's best off to invest where valuations are cheap, like we talked about Russia as a place, and then also to look at charts to understand trends and cycles and try to combine these both at the same time.
Mike, thanks a lot for chatting with us.
Oh, thank you.
My guest has been Mike Swanson from wallstreetwindow.com. You can contact Mike by email by punching in wallstreetwindow@gmail.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.